while ago I made a video advising Christians how to witness to atheists. I made that video when the memory of being a Christian myself for the last 35 plus years of my life was still relatively fresh in my mind, and I could still relate somewhat. That's a little different now. This is just kind of a little renewed version, or what I would say now that I've been I've been an atheist longer now. What would I say to Christians on how to witness to atheists? Don't. Anyway, I've had a dialogue with somebody that's a nice person, and I just want to make a few comments. One of the comments he wrote me was, if you had a young person in your house ask, how did we get here, what would you say? I would say what I think. I would say that there was an amazing explosion. The world, the universe basically collapsed and exploded and shot outward, and you know, I'm not a scientist, so I would probably say it in such a way that it sounded, you know, made some sense to him. And I would talk, because I'm not a scientist, I would talk about how the universe exploded, and suns, in the explosion, galaxies were born and suns were born, and some of the suns had planets on them, and we were lucky enough to be, well, the planet, the Earth that we're on, was in the right place at the right time, basically, enough to sustain life on it, and that it took a great deal of time and a great deal of pure luck for us to get here at all, you know, because, you know, if natural selection had gone a different route, humans as we know them today might not even have existed at all. And then the chances of each one of us individually coming to exist is incredibly far off. I mean, of all the sperm that go, you know, that go for the egg, each one of them would be a potential life. You know, the one that made it to the egg is the one that creates us as individuals, and all it would take is a different sperm to make a different life. How would I say all that scientific stuff to a little child? I don't know. I never had children, so I am not good at talking to little kids, but I certainly wouldn't make up a bunch of bullshit about some mythical whatever magical being. You know, I would probably have a lot better skill talking to children than I do now if I had children. If right now, if I had somebody come over with a little kid and they asked me, I would probably talk to them like adults, because that's how I was talked to. My parents never talked down to me, so I can't imagine that I would talk down to a little kid. I'd probably tell them this is what I think, and I would tell them briefly about, you know, the looking up at the sky and looking at the stars and the wonder of the stars, and the fact that so it's beyond, there's so many stars that there's other planets out there, you know, circling those other stars, and of all those planets out there, there's probably people on some of those planets. They might not look like us, you know, but the odds of there being another planet in the universe, if not a whole bunch of other planets with intelligent life on, is pretty good. You know, I think I would try to convey to a young child the wonder and the majesty and the magnitude, the hugeness, and how much of a amazing thing it is that these little small peon creatures are able to witness and, you know, sit in this flicker of time and behold something so large, you know. evolution. I don't know. I would just try to, it's, I think little kids are actually fascinated with science. I know when I was a little kid, I had a great deal of fascination with science. And I don't think it would be hard at all for a little kid to, in fact, I think little kids drink up like sponges, science and the whole, talking to them about dinosaurs and the Ice Age and how the different periods of the Earth's development would totally fascinate a little kid. So that's what I would tell a little kid if a little kid visited how I think we got here. I would try to do my best to explain my understanding of these very complex sciences that I'm not experienced. I have a very basic understanding of science, and I would do my best to convey my understanding to the child, and hopefully they would hear the wonder in my voice and understand how special they are from that. So, and then the other thing this person wrote me is, I want to be better at talking to atheists. Yes, I admit I would very much like to see you become a believer. When somebody writes me something like that, it's like, why? Why would you want to see me become a believer? If something is wrong, why would you want me to believe in it? I would like to see all atheists saved, he writes. Saved from what? Before, that's I guess that's my biggest advice in this video that I'm hoping will actually stay short. If you want to witness to atheists, don't look at atheists like don't look at them like I want to save them. Don't look down at them. When you look at somebody hoping that they're going to be saved, you're looking down at them. You're putting yourself above them and reaching down your hand and saying, let me help you up. Atheists don't need to be saved. I don't need to be saved. I don't believe that there's anything I need saving from. I've had a couple recently, Christians, say, well, could you possibly be wrong? And I turn it around and I want to say to them, could you be wrong? You're so stuck on your belief that you can't even fathom the idea that you could be wrong. Instead, you look at other people like, oh, I would love to see you believe the way I do. Oh, I would love to see all atheists saved. Saved from what? What do you have that tells us that we need saving? You have a book. That's it. You have a book, and you have this religion that was founded on this book. And even most Christians will admit that modern Christianity does not bear very much resemblance to what's in the Bible. They've picked out a few verses and they've built a religion on it. And if you point out verses in the Bible, they don't like it because they aren't the right verses that they have built their religion on. Oh, that's just, that's the old law, and that isn't Christianity. Except that it's the Bible, and that's the foundation of your religion, and that's what you call is inspired by God and God's Word. So make up your mind. I'm sorry, but you judge a whole group of people as not being saved based on a book. I don't understand how that is so difficult for Christians to understand. I mean, I could say that a million times. You base the fact, you look at me like I'm somebody that needs to be saved. Oh, I wish you would become a believer so I can be saved. You base all that on a book. And you base it on this belief that this book is inspired by God. And you base that belief on this assumption that a God exists. There's no evidence that a God exists at all. There's no evidence that the Bible is inspired by anything. It's just a book. And yet, because of this book, you feel like you can... You are so sure that you're right. You can't even conceive of the idea that you could be wrong and it might just be a book. Like all the other... I mean, is a Christian going to have any reverence at all for the Quran? Or the Torah? I think I said that right. I hope so. I mean, or the Book of Mormon? Why do you think your book is any different than these other books? It's just a book. So yeah, my advice to Christians is, if you want to witness to atheists, don't. You know, you talk down to people. You put them at a different level than yourself when you think you want to save somebody. You know, I don't want to become a believer. Why would anybody who cares about me wish that I would become a believer? Why would anybody wish that? You know? Believer. Why would I believe in this God? Even if he did appear before me and I was forced to believe a God exists, why would I follow him? Even if I did become a believer, why would I follow this God? Read your Bible, because this Bible is where the belief in your God comes from. This Bible, if this Bible had never existed, there would not be any understanding or knowledge of this God at all. He would not exist. There would be no knowledge of him. So if you want to get to know your God, if you want to really get to know your God, you should read the Bible, because that's his life story. I read the Bible. So even if he appeared before me right now and forced me to believe in him, even forced me down to my knees to grovel at his feet, I would not worship him. I would not follow him. I would rather burn in hell than follow this God. It's not just belief. It's not just becoming a believer. If I'm going to worship and praise something, it needs to earn that. If I'm going to love somebody and be devoted to them and sing their praises and cry when I talk to them or whatever, worship them, they have to earn that. And this God has earned contempt. Anybody who reads the Bible without the God glasses on that religion gives them, reads it objectively, reads it and imagines the stories from the perspective of the people that the Bible is describing, or the perspective of the people that are being destroyed simply because they were in the wrong place. They got in God's way. Anybody who just reads the Bible without trying to get some whatever out of it, just reads it objectively, is going to see that this is a monster. This book depicts a monster, and I would not worship it. I would not follow it. It's the enemy. It is the enemy. If it exists, it is the enemy. Satan is the tooth fairy by comparison to this God. So anyway, I'm not really giving very good advice to Christians. I think it's demeaning and degrading and you're condescending to look at somebody else as somebody in need of saving, or as a project for you to save. I think by having that view of somebody else, you're immediately putting yourself on a pedestal, looking down at them like they're missing something that you've got, and it's up to you to help them up to your level. You know, they're judging somebody. I don't need to be saved because I don't believe this God exists. I don't believe that sin exists. I think sin is a creation of humans to make this religion seem necessary. It's the chains that binds us. They put these chains on us and say that because of these chains we have to grovel and jump through all these hoops to be saved. I'm sorry, but the chains I don't believe exist. I feel like I've said this all before, but I do wrong, I pay the price for it. I take responsibility for my actions. I choose to do good. My reward is I get to feel good about what I did. I choose to do bad. The consequences are I get punished for it. At the very least, I get to feel guilty, which is never good. Or, if it's really bad, I might lose a friend or I might end up in jail. There are consequences to doing bad things. And that's, anyway. I don't believe that sin's real. I think it's man-made invention to make religion seem necessary. I think they invented the wound and then handed the bandage. Here, you're wounded. You're going to die without this bandage. They convince you that you're wounded and that there's something hurt or damaged or wrong about you. And then they hand you the bandage. They get you to the point where you're, oh my gosh, I need help. I need help. Here you go. Give you the bandage. I don't believe I was hurt. I don't believe I'm damaged. I don't believe that there's a wound that needs to be healed. I don't believe I need to be healed. I don't think I was born damaged. I don't think I was born broken. I think I was born exactly right from the very beginning. And it's taken me most of my life to come to that conclusion. So do I need to be saved? Hell no, I have been saved. When I came upon the understanding that I was born right the first time, I was saved from a lifetime of carrying around guilt that I could never be good enough to appease this God. I could never be a good enough Christian. It's a horrible, horrible religion, and it caused a lot of damage to my life. No, I don't want to go back to believing. And, you force, God himself forces that on me, fine. But I will never follow that. I will never worship that because it hasn't earned it. It has only earned contempt. I know I've said this before too, but I wouldn't shake Hitler's hand. Why would I worship a God that's a million times worse than Hitler? So anyway, so that's my little bit. I don't know what to say to Christians. I think that if you really want to witness, I mean, seriously, if you want to be a good witness to an atheist, be a nice person. Just be their friend. Be a nice person. Be there when they're hurting. Be there when they need help. Be there when they're stranded somewhere and they need a ride, and you go out in your car and you help them out. And don't use any opportunity, to corner them and preach at them. Just be nice to them. Maybe if you're a really nice, good, wonderful friend, one day they'll think to themselves, gee, what do they have that I don't have? Then again, maybe they won't, because you know what? There's a lot of really nice, happy people in the world that don't have your religion. And somehow they manage to have all the wonderful, happy feelings and be good people without the religion. So yeah, I think if you want to be friends with an atheist and you want to strike up a conversation about religion, that's the other thing. This is something I don't know if it's possible for a Christian to do. If you're going to strike up a religious conversation with an atheist, be prepared to admit that you could be wrong. You expect the atheist to admit that they could be wrong and have a door or a window open to new ideas. You need to be the same way. That needs to be a two-way street. Otherwise, you're talking down at them, and you're putting them down, and you're being condescending and insulting. So, anyway, I don't know if this is any different than the advice that I gave last time I made a video like this. It was a long time ago, though. So maybe this is a little bit different. If you've been watching, thanks. Bye.